This is Ship It with Justin Garrison and Autumn Nash, a podcast about everything that happens after Git Push. Ship It is brought to you by Fly.io, the home of changelog.com. Launch your apps close to your users all around the world. Learn how at Fly.io.
Hello and welcome to Ship It, the podcast all about running and maintaining software, anything that happens after you Git push something. I am your host, Justin Garrison, and with me as always is Autumn Nash. How's it going, Autumn?
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. I'm rested finally after Scale. Scale was last week and weekends, and it was busy. There was lots of stuff going on.
It was crazy, but it was so much fun.
Absolutely. And this was your first time coming to, and for anyone that, sorry, I should start with the full actual conference title is Southern California Linux Expo. It was started as a Linux focus conference and a meetup for people doing Linux and doing installs of Linux. And it has expanded over the last 21 years. This was the 21st scale. And it has been going on for quite a while. It has grown a lot larger and a lot more topics. And I've been going for about 15 years. I think this was my 15th scale. Autumn, this was your first one. What'd you think?
Someone said it was like nerd summer camp, and that was like the most accurate description. I've never enjoyed a conference so much because people were all genuinely excited to share information on what they knew, you know, and like the most accessible, like non-gatekeeping way. I thought it was just an awesome community and awesome information like shared in a very practical way. And I thought that was cool. And you could tell everybody was genuinely excited to share what they're working on or what they contribute to.
It is very different vibes than most other conferences that are vendor backed or they're a specific topic. And so it's like, hey, there are tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars for these other conferences. And this is just setting the stage for like everyone that's coming need to close a deal, or they need to be there for their job, or they need to be there for some other thing. And at Scale, it is community run. It is all volunteers. I am a volunteer that helps run Scale now, and it has been going on for a very long time. Tickets are cheap, especially compared to conferences.
It's so accessible. And the fact that you can bring your kids, usually like as a mom, like in tech, especially like a single mom, I kind of have to like, I don't know, I wouldn't say hide that part of you, but like you have to like separate that part of you. And I thought it was so cool that like it was kid friendly and people had their, like were bringing their kids, and like there even people that booths had like playpens and like had their kids, and there were just kids running around with little baby Scale shirts, and it was adorable.
Especially on Saturday, because there's a family game night on Saturday nights. And so it's a big, like they have arcades, they have all sorts of different things that families can do together. They have board games, all sorts of stuff. And it's encouraged on especially Saturday to like bring your kids. There's a kids track, talks by kids for kids. And everyone that's giving a talk on that track is under 18, and they're ranging from high schoolers to middle schoolers.
Also, I feel like for a lot of like kids who are not super well off, like I grew up like totally like not exposed to these things as a child. And I feel like that is such a cool way to expose your children to like this world of like kids love a lot of the things that technology builds, you know, and to expose them to how it gets built and the way people contribute is awesome. Also, if you want to build a community or kind of grow a community, come to Scale, because that's like community done right to me.
Yeah. And for a lot of people, like a conference is the time that their mom or dad is gone.
Yes.
Right? Like it's the time that they don't get to spend, like, oh, you're going to a conference, you're traveling, whatever. Like those sorts of things are really sad because like, I don't get to see you for a day or two. And in this case, it's like, well, let's bring you along. And actually, it might be boring, right? I'm going to be in a talk for a little while. We're going to sit there for an hour and I'm going to learn something technical from someone that's built this amazing system or is involved in open source or whatever it is. And like for the kid, that's not going to be the thing they want to hear, but they understand more what their parent does.
But it's awesome though. Like usually like people are like, oh, you're a mom, and like nobody else is a mom. And everyone doesn't have kids, usually at like tech conferences, or maybe a few guys will have kids, but usually they are married and their kids stay at home and all that good stuff. But I saw women like who are entrepreneurs and starting startups with their babies, and like their baby would cry and nobody batted an eye. Nobody like was rude. No, you know what I mean? Like it was literally
It is a very common thing at Scale to just like, oh, this talk has a baby crying, and that's fine.
yes, like it was a conference that you could legitimately bring your whole self to Scale. And that is like just rad. I loved it. I want to volunteer next year. I'm going to like I want to do all the, like my kids are planning their talks and I'm like, okay, if I can get your dad to keep you on Friday and Sunday, he can bring you up on Saturday. And like, I'm just like so excited. Like they have like their little Raspberry Pis and they're trying to build all the things and it's great.
Yeah, and that's like, if anyone wants to get involved with Scale, go to Southern California Linux Expo.org. There's a volunteer sign up. We already are starting planning for next year, and like it just wrapped up last week.
I want to help, Justin.
But yeah, there's mailing lists that you can say, hey, like, where can you help? Is this, and it's not just like you have to run the event. Like if you want to come and attend the event, that's so fine too. Like there's a bunch of stuff leading up to it, like call for papers and even just promoting the event. Cause this isn't, again, it's community run. There's not a marketing budget or big like ad money behind this. It's like, oh no, this is like people on social media that are like, hey, I'm going to this thing. It'd be cool if you came too. That's great.
Also, I've never seen so many women talks that are technical. So many great talks. Like they were just so many smart women. And it was like 40 or 50% women, it looked like on the feature page. It was so cool.
Well, and speaking of which, Autumn, you were one of those amazing technical talks. So let's dive into your talk at Scale, as this was your first conference presentation, right? Like public conference or?
I've done Apache World Party and She Builds and some other stuff, but I think this was my longest in-person talk because a lot of my first talks were during COVID. And then I did some panels that were in person, but like as far as like an hour to fill and like.
It's you and a slide deck.
Yes.
How'd it go?
Everybody was so supportive. Like usually like it's scary to give a tech talk because people try to argue with you halfway through or like argue with your like statistics, and like everybody was so supportive. Also, Justin came with like a rubber chicken and it like made me less nervous. Best friend ever.
Anything to lower that, make it a little more fun, a little more just like, oh, you know what? Like we're hanging out and everyone in the room is there to learn from you. Like this is.
They were so nice and I met so many awesome people and like I got such good feedback and I thought that was really cool.
I remember before you gave your talk, you were like, afterwards, we're going to run over to this other talk because I forget her name. She was giving a talk about podcasts.
I'm so sad we
got to go to that one. And I was like, Autumn, you're not going to be able to leave the room. People are going to be talking to you for at least a half hour.
I didn't think anybody was going to want to talk to me.
And sure enough, like I left because you're just like, I have a crowd of people around me. They all have questions. I'm like, you will be good. Like you handle this and I'm going to go.
Did you get to see the podcast talk?
No, I did not.
Darn.
Because I was volunteering, because I was doing other things with Kubernetes Community Day was also co-located with Scale, and I help run KCD LA. So I was doing stuff for that. So the days before and trying to kind of catch up on some things throughout the conference.
I really love the Kubernetes community. I've never seen so many people that I had color coordinated hair with. They were just awesome. I might have to go like run Kubernetes somewhere just because.
We will get you into the Kubernetes community at some point. The gravity around it is,
I know,
is fun, but really just, I mean, I've stayed in the Kubernetes community just mainly for the community for the longest time.
The people are like just amazing.
And I mean, this is like huge shout outs to people early on in the community, like Sarah Novotny and people that were building community intentionally from the beginning. Like we need to document stuff. But
that's what I'm saying. Like, even if you have nothing to do with Linux, if you have nothing to do with Kubernetes, if you want to learn how to make your community better in whatever technology you work in, go to Scale because that's the epitome of how to grow actual community.
And so we have our links for this week in the show notes are Autumn's talk and my talk. Both of them, mine was at KCDLA, Autumn's was at the main portion of Scale. And if you want to see what the talks are like, they're sometimes very relaxed, sometimes very eclectic with some of the titles and things that happen, which is great. But all of the talks are currently being edited and put on the Scale YouTube channel. So you can go through and find all of them, but we'll put the links to ours if you want to see what we were talking about at Scale and what we were kind of doing there.
Scale was like also taught me how to teach a technical concept, but in a fun way. Like I thought it was so cool, like how they had like Game of Thrones and like Dungeons and Dragon themed like infrastructure talks, which I thought were so cool, like a way to like say, hey, you know this thing, now let me teach you something technical using that background. It totally inspired me to write this talk with one of my favorite movies of the year and to teach CDK with it. So I'm super excited.
we learn a lot of things from what we've known before, right? It's like everything you learn is building on something you've known. So if you know how Dungeons and Dragons work, and if you know how, like, I come from like doing like cars, like I always use car analogies because I'm like, I know how a car engine works and I know how a car suspension works. I know how all those systems tie together. And actually that's a more complicated system than pretty much anything else I've ever interfaced with in my life. And I do it all the time. And it's the most dangerous thing I do constantly.
For sure.
And that is a thing that like we take it for granted. It's like, oh, well, it's just a car, right? Like it's just, I have a steering wheel and pedals. I'm like, yeah, because that's your interface. And so, yeah, like as people build out their own ecosystem of understanding and try to understand more things, it's like, hey, let's show you how this game is like that thing you're trying to learn and how the similarities you can associate them, how security is like a door lock.
That's my favorite way to teach, with analogies and with like something physical or real world to somebody, or even if it's a movie or just something that some people, to help give them better context into something that's abstract or technical that they may have never like encountered before, because it makes it accessible.
My first KubeCon talk, I was on stage and I had balloons and I was showing people how balloons were like pods, and we built a Kubernetes cluster with some people, some volunteers, and a spreadsheet and some balloons. And that was my first talk. It was just like, this is how this works. And you can understand it.
I do really love the way that you find like physical ways to like explain Kubernetes.
It's the only way I understand them. So it's the only way I know how to teach it.
That's how I understand things when I'm like, oh, and like a lot of times I'll ask questions and I'll be like, so it's like this. And people are like, kind of? Yeah. And I'm just like, I have to relate it to something else. I love the one that you did with like the water. And you're explaining like containers, and I thought that was cool.
Oh, the auto scaling short. Yeah.
Like I need that physical realm to really understand something and grasp it.
For the interview this week for the main show, we actually went through at scale and we were interviewing people that were in the hallways. So we were finding people that were just around and we're saying, hey, what do you do? For the people that approached us, and a couple people have said they listened to the show, said thanks, you're going to hear yourself on this episode. But we wanted just to get people on the show and ask them 5 questions to everyone, just see what their responses were. And just so you know, in case the recording was messed up, audio is sometimes hard at conferences. We asked them who they are, what technologies they're responsible for, what their favorite open source software was, what their least favorite command is, why they came to Scale, and then what would they like to pass down to future generations, either a tip or some practice or whatever. So I thought we had a great mix of again, broad community, just kind of focused on. Some of them run open source software. Some of them are just there for the community. Some people are there for work, whatever. It was a great sort of mix of interviews.
I thought that was really cool. My favorite one was the last question.
Well, sure. We got to get a little serious and deep at the...
It was so like sweet. Yeah. I thought
especially with kids around, right? Because we're doing this interview and there's literally like, junior high and high school. I mean, there was a high school robotics team.
Oh my God. The robotics team gave me like hope. I was all like teary eyed and I was like, look at them. They're so cute.
Yeah. So we will cut to those interviews and see you afterwards.
What you're about to hear are real reactions from PagerDuty users in response to seeing signals from Fire Hydrant for the first time.
PagerDuty, I don't want to say they're evil, but they're an evil that we've had to maintain. I know all of our engineering teams, as well as myself, are interested in getting this moving the correct direction. As right now, just managing and maintaining our user seats has become problematic.
That's really good. Actually, this is a consistent problem for us and teams. Is that covering these sorts of ad hoc time frames is very difficult. Putting in like overrides and specific days and different new shifts is quite onerous.
Well, and you did the most important piece, which is didn't tie them together, because that's half the problem with PagerDuty, right? Is I get all these alerts and then I get an incident per alert. And generally speaking, when shit goes sideways, you get lots of alerts because lots of things are broken, but you only have one incident.
Yeah, I'm super impressed with that, because being able to assign to different teams is an issue for us, because like the one alert fires for one team and then it seems like to have to bounce around, and it never does. Which then means that we have tons of communication issues because like people aren't updated.
No, I mean, to be open and honest, when can we switch?
So you're probably tired of alerting tools that feel more like a headache than a solution, right? Well, Signals from Fire Hydrant is the alerting and on-call tool designed for humans, not systems. Signals puts teams at the center, giving you the ultimate control over rules, policies, and schedules. No need to configure your services or do wonky workarounds. Ingest data seamlessly from any source using webhooks, and watch as Signals filters out the noise, alerting you only on what matters. Manage tasks like coverage requests and on-call notifications effortlessly within Slack. You can even acknowledge alerts right there. But here's the game changer. Signals natively integrates with Fire Hydrant's full incident management suite. So as soon as you're alerted, you can seamlessly kick off and manage your entire incident inside a single platform. Learn more or switch today at firehydrant.com/signals. Again, firehydrant.com/signals.
Hello and welcome to Southern California Linux Expo, also known as Scale. This is the first time Autumn and I have met in person, and Autumn's first time coming to Scale. What do you think of the conference?
Best conference ever.
That's you just want to sum it up like, yeah, that's good.
Yes.
Yeah. What has been the part that's the best?
The people are so nice. And all the talks are really good, but they're like not just smart people trying to be smart, like they're real life applications. And I've never seen so many people so skilled in technology talk about people skills and how to bridge that with technology.
And with talking about people, we actually have interviews to talk to people throughout this episode of Ship It on what they do and a few standard questions that we just wanted to get their opinions on. So that's what we did for this week's interview, and hope you like it.
I've also found several people that hair match my hair and we're like color coordinated, and it's great.
Always finding your people.
Dude, this is like the conference of my people. Everybody is so cool. Highly recommend Scale. It's awesome.
I'm trying to even think how to fault, like, it happens every year. It's in Pasadena. And what about the weather?
Someone described it as spring break camp for nerds, and that is the most legit. Like, you can tell when everyone's eyes light up about something cool that they really are passionate about. It's like awesome. Like, everyone's so excited about whatever open source technology they work in, and just seeing everybody like so passionate is so cool.
I feel like the spring break is really true with today's the last day of Scale.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, I don't want to leave. Like,
I'm super sad. Like, usually conferences are like a lot of peopling, you know, like it's fun, but then at
you're tired.
the
end of the day, you're just like, you know,
like, okay, like it's been real. I'm going home.
I do just want to sit in front of the couch and watch some TV.
And I'm like legitimately sad. Like, I'm just like, oh, my people. Like, I'm just like, how many things can I volunteer for next year? I was like, I need to start writing talks. My kids are at home planning talks with Raspberry Pis for next year.
That's good. Yeah. No, because
I
there's the
said I
kids
was going
track.
to bring them, but now I'm like, I don't know. Like, you'll make me have to go home earlier.
There are lots of kids events and the game night.
Can we talk about how cute that is and how inclusive that is to have so many? Like,
did you make it to the game night?
I didn't make it to the game night, but did you see the girls robotics teams that were going around? Like, it's just, for one, like, usually it's harder to bring your whole self as a mom in tech.
Yes.
And the fact that there's like so many kids and families, like I've met like entrepreneurs that were doing startups with their babies.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I had multiple talks with babies that were starting to cry, and moms and dads
nobody acted
quiet
like
it, and
they
they're
lost
this
their
is life.
Yeah.
This is how this works. And yeah.
That is a breath of fresh air when you've been told forever that you can't be a mom and be an engineer and all kind of stuff. And then you see these people and everybody is bringing their families and their whole selves, and they're different and all different kinds of people, and they're all working together to make awesome open source. That's the essence of open source to me, you know?
And kids like swag too.
Oh my kids want those fedora stickers that you have. Like, they're like, bring me the dinosaurs. Yeah. And I'm like, you can't have mine. Like, I'll ask Justin if he has more.
Get your own. Make your talk. Work on your Raspberry Pi. You get your own fedora stickers.
They're over there like, okay, we're going to build this. And like, I'm looking at this robotic thing, and I was like, please don't buy anything else on Amazon. Like, they're going to be ordering stuff on Alexa.
And as someone who, my son gave his first conference talk last year about running a YouTube channel, and it was absolutely fantastic because
like, I'm really excited for our kids to meet each other, but like I'm like just a tiny bit frightened. Like they're going to gang up on us, Justin.
Yeah, they probably will. And I know his talk was way better than my ever first talk because he had a room packed full of adults and kids.
No way.
They're ready to learn how to create YouTube channels because some people need to do it for their jobs.
Was he
They're like,
nervous?
oh, he was absolutely, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun because everyone was supportive and everyone asked questions.
Did you see all the cute little kids like when they were doing their robotic speeches yesterday? It was so adorable.
I missed that.
They were so cute and they're so brave and there were so many girls. It was so cool. And they were like talking about how this thing's outdated and this thing is like new. And I was just like, I was so proud of them. I was like,
so if we haven't hyped up Scale enough already, you should check it out. It's in Pasadena every year. And let's go ahead and cut to some interviews with people from around the conference.
best conference ever.
Who are you and what technology are you responsible for?
Hi, I'm Jeremy Price. I am responsible for all the technology that underlays the managed hosting version of Snipe IT, which is our free and open source software that you can download and run all you like. But if you want somebody to host it for you, we'll do that, and I make that happen.
What is your favorite open source software?
My favorite open source software, that's a good one. Probably Elasticsearch. Oh, no, wait. MongoDB, no. Terraform, no. Ansible, maybe? Chef, definitely. Puppet. How about SaltStack for now?
Okay, sounds good. What is your least favorite command?
Terraform apply.
Final answer?
I mean, no, sorry. OpenTofu. No, OpenTofu's fine. Tar. Don't we all just have to look up the flags every single time?
Why'd you come to Scale?
You know, all the snark and joking aside, it's a conference with such a diverse set of talks, of people, of interests, of great attitudes and vibes. It's both a great place to come learn, to share some knowledge, and it's a reunion. You know, there are a lot of great people that come back year after year, and you know, I get to meet new people, but also just see a bunch of really awesome people who keep coming back because it's such a great conference.
And what lesson would you like to pass down to future generations?
Future generations, remember that it's okay to use boring tech. You don't always have to be on the bleeding edge. You don't always have to chase the shiny.
As long as it's open source.
As long as it's open source. Hey, you know what? Make all the fun you want. Perl still runs an awful lot of the world. PHP still runs an awful lot of the world. And as my boss likes to say, what do you call somebody who only knows how to code in PHP? Employed.
Thanks for coming.
You're welcome.
Who are you and what technology are you responsible for?
My name is Elizabeth K. Joseph, and these days I work on Linux on mainframes.
That is awesome. And what is your favorite open source software?
Oh, that is a good question. I'm going to be super basic. I'm going to say WordPress.
WordPress is a good one. That is, yeah, and it runs a lot of the internets and it's out there.
Yeah, I mean, I have a blog, and I use it all the time, so it's, you know, it's my daily tools, along with Linux, you know.
How about your least favorite command?
Sudo.
Ooh.
It's so misunderstood. It's so powerful and so amazing, but people don't understand it.
That's pretty controversial, I think. That's I like that. Why'd you come to Scale?
I love Scale. It was the last conference I came to before the pandemic, and it was on my list of like first ones to come back to.
I think it probably was the last conference, but the pandemic, like the March 2020 was a very interesting Scale. And what would you like to pass down to future generations, some of the kids and younger people that are here at the conference, or just generally in open source?
Be curious about everything. That's pretty much how I did everything in my career. I've done all kinds of weird things, including what I'm doing now. And it was all just because I was curious about something and wanted to try a new thing out. So, and it's served me well. So just be curious and follow the path.
Awesome, thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Who are you and what technology are you responsible for?
So my name is Gareth Greenaway. I'm responsible for, in part, the SALT project.
Oh, that's so cool. What's your favorite open source software?
I mean, my obvious choice would be SALT since I worked on it. But I think probably, I'm going to say Linux because it opened up a lot of doors for me, allowed me to do things that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. I mean, that answer could apply to so many different pieces of software, but I'll keep it simple and I'll say Linux.
Linux is awesome.
Why'd you come to Scale?
So I was actually one of the original co-founders of Scale. So honestly, it seems like I never left. I'm always here. Yeah, I feel like I can't miss a year or people would start to question like if reality is imploding on itself.
So it's not even FOMO. Like everybody else would be like, where is he? And you're kind of tall, so I feel like people would miss you.
I stand out in the crowd. Yeah, if I'm not here, I would be missed. For sure.
What's your least favorite command?
My least favorite command is not actually a command. It's a horrible program that someone wrote called SL, which no, it's not. It's horrible. It's horrible. Vengeful,
Wow,
angry,
horrible and vengeful. I'm so excited.
sysadmins install it on systems to annoy people. If you've never seen this, it is a typo command. So one of the most mistyped commands on a Unix or Linux system is ls. And what the SL command does is it makes you wait while the animated train goes across the screen, mocking you for mistyping ls.
I do that all the time, and like, I'm so excited about this.
Yeah, it's horrible. It is horrible.
Okay, what lessons would you pass down to future generations?
I would say don't be afraid of breaking things. One of the things that I've noticed a lot of people are afraid of doing is breaking things. Just get in there and I mean, obviously back things up so you don't royally like get in a bad place, but don't be afraid of breaking things. Just try things out. See how they work.
That's good advice.
All right, so who are you and what technology are you responsible for?
Hi, so I'm Noel Miller. I am a project manager over at the Universal Blue Project. We do custom-based images on Fedora Atomic. It's a really exciting project, and I am very excited to be here.
And what is your favorite open source software?
Well, I'm a little biased, but I really do like the Universal Blue Project. We do a lot of really great things. I run it day to day. So I use one of our projects called Bazite, which is a gaming distro. Well, not a distro technically because we're built on Fedora. But yeah, so that's one of my favorite ones.
And what is your least favorite command?
Man, so far I haven't been loving using sed. One of the best usages of AI, if you ever use it, is to use it to write your sed commands because you just ask it and it does it. So
that is actually fascinating. I like that.
Yep.
I use it for SQL queries.
Yes.
Why did you come to Scale?
You know, I wanted to meet up with the community. All of our contributors to the UBlue project are kind of spread apart. So we wanted to have an opportunity to have a few of us meet up and, you know, have some conversations. So it's been really great to be here, and it's my first time. So.
And what lesson would you like to pass down to future generations?
Just be good to one another. Keep it as simple as that. So, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So who are you and what technology are you responsible for?
My name is Rit Lee. What technology am I responsible for?
Technology, software, infrastructure, anything that maybe work-related, home-related, open source-related, anything that you might be responsible for in that deals with technology.
Okay. I've been doing consulting work for over 10, 15 years now, but it mostly for other people, for startups and whatnot. So.
Oh, cool. So you help them get started with things and then they run it and they're responsible.
Right.
That's a good place to be if you're writing and managing software, is not being responsible for it is a good move.
Yes. But on top of that though, like recently my son, he's 4 and he's like out of the blue, he just said, Daddy cooked and Daddy sat at the desk. That got me thinking like, what exactly do I do, you know? So yeah, and that led to me doing some soul searching. And at this moment, I am working on my own project. And it's something that I planning to be working on for the next 10, 20 years, you know, something that I can show my son, hey, this is what I do, you know. I'm not just cooking and sitting at my desk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What is your favorite open source software?
I would have to say SQLite and Lua.
That's a good combination right there. What is your least favorite command?
I don't know. None.
Probably also maybe SQLite and Lua. Sometimes we love and hate the same things.
I can't think of any right now.
That's right. Why did you come to Scale?
It's almost like a tradition now. I live in SoCal, so like it's the biggest Linux open source conference, so I have to be here. So.
Also a valid answer for it's here and we should come. What would you like to pass down to your future generation, like your son or some of the younger people here at Scale?
I would say be less absolute about certain things. For my younger self, I was a bit too black and white, too absolute, you know. now that as I have 2 kids, I would say be more flexible, open-minded, and it's not always black and white.
Awesome. Thank you so much for interviewing.
Who are you and what technology are you responsible for?
My name is Paul Yu. I am a cloud native developer advocate at Microsoft, and I am responsible. I wouldn't say I'm responsible, but I do a lot of work in the Kubernetes space.
Me and Paul are besties now. What's your favorite open source software?
That's rough. There's a lot of good open source softwares. I would have to say Kata, only because of the people that actually run the project. Because, open source is more about technology. It's all about the people. So
It is, though. People here are awesome. What's your least favorite command?
my least favorite command is probably sed, because it's man, I always get messed up with the regex and all that stuff. So
Can we just talk about the shade that question Everyone's you can tell people start having bad flashbacks, and they're like, this one time.
yeah, regex.
Well, regex is, dude. Yeah. When people are good at regex, I'm like, you're an alien. I'm just. Yeah. What lesson would you like to pass down to future generations?
Geez, there was a lot of kids walking around at Scale yesterday, which was super awesome. And I kept telling them, it's more than just the tech skills that you need. You also have to have the soft skills, the people skills. And I encourage everybody, go work a food job, go be a waiter, go be a hostess, as your first jobs, just so you can know how to interact with people. So.
Oh my God, I think that would change tech for the better, y'all. Being a woman in tech, please do that. Yes. It was so nice interviewing. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
So thank you everyone who interviewed with us at Scale. Thank you everyone who came up to us and said hi and attended the talks. It was great to meet you all. And anyone that's listening to this and wants to get involved with Scale for next year, again, this is a community run event. It is a lot of fun, but there is also work to do. There are things that you need to kind of put out there to make conference happen for this many people. So if you want to get involved, check out Southern California Linux Expo, and we will see you all or talk to you all next week.
Best conference ever.
Thanks for listening to Ship It with Justin Garrison and Autumn Nash. Subscribe now if you haven't already. Head to shipit.show for all the ways, or just search for Ship It wherever you get your podcasts. You'll find us. Thanks once again to our partners at fly.io, to the mysterious Breakmaster Cylinder for these dope beats.
Oh yeah, my pleasure.
And to Sentry. Use code CHANGELOG when you sign up and save $100 off their team plan. That's all for now, but come back next week when we continue discussing everything that happens after Git Push.